Hey guys, so big news came out in the DC TV world today. Superman is coming to Supergirl, not just IMing, not just shadowy figure, not a baby or a kid. Superman will be fully on the show, first 2 episodes of the season. They are, so they're casting now. So what is your first reaction hearing this news, Terry?
Thank goodness Supergirl went to CW.
Yeah.
Like, you get a sense like this would not have happened if a couple of different factors were in play, but that is definitely one of them. And like so exciting too, I think a lot of people's issue with the fact that Superman was such a big presence over Supergirl, but not necessarily directly in Supergirl, is it felt like it was detracting from Supergirl herself as a character. But now that it's on the CW, and we'll dive into this a little bit more, it's like so cool to think about not only what this means for Supergirl, but all the other shows that they're going to be crossing over in. And they're building a Justice Society of America. They could be building the Justice League. Are we going to get more? I'm greedy.
Yeah.
This is really exciting.
It's hard not to go there. I will also say my first reaction hearing this is happening was oddly wondering if this is another sort of strange way we're seeing the reaction to Batman versus Superman. Because from what we knew, like Batman, they can have a kid Bruce Wayne on Gotham, but they can't have Batman on any of these shows. And it sounded like the same was true for Superman, that DC and Warner is like, okay, you can dance around him on Supergirl, name drop him, and have him appear in those ways I was joking about, but he can't fully be there. The fact that they're now allowing this, I did wonder, after all the reaction to Batman vs. Superman, the fact that people were like, oh, this is such a dark, grim Superman. The Superman we're going to meet on Supergirl, I think, is going to be a very, much more classic, optimistic, upbeat character. And I wonder if that might have helped them decide to do this. Be like, let's give people a live-action Superman. It's still going to be a couple years from Justice League, so let's give them this other version of Superman.
I agree, and I think the fact that Jeff Johns, who is a big player in the DC TV shows, especially on the CW, who's now taking a bigger role in the film world, I feel like they're saying we to truly delineate, show how separate these two are. Let them have that. And I honestly think sort of getting the Superman-sized elephant out of the room on Supergirl is going to free up some of those issues that people were having in season 1, where they were like, you keep just addressing him in corners and not directly. Just have him be on the show, have him feel like a character, and then have Supergirl grow and be who we need her to continue to become.
Yeah, I agree. And it's Jim, David, and I talked on Keeping It Real last week about how it's always been a little weird and murky with the fact that why can't they use Suicide Squad characters on Arrow anymore, but they're cool with there being The Flash as a TV show and a movie. So if they're okay with some of that stuff, I think maybe they are just deciding, look, people can handle it and they'll be okay. Let's give them Superman. And then you mentioned it's hard not to instantly go there about the crossovers. We already know there's a mega crossover coming with all 4 of the shows that are now on CW. And now Superman is an actual sort of player in this, well, I say universe, multiverse, I should say, with an actor playing him. Is he going to pop up in this mega crossover? What do you think?
I mean, that's a lot to ask for. Maybe he ends up on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he certainly could. It depends how much they're doing with it, at least on the Supergirl episode. But you also have to wonder, depending on what they do with this massive crossover, we know that within the world of Arrow, there isn't a Superman because we would have known about him if there was. So does that mean that there is a version of Clark Kent there whose powers haven't materialized or
just never
whatever,
shown
or
them?
just So that is a really cool idea and something, even that far, who is this person's, now that we know there's a multiverse and everything like that, who's this person's doppelganger going to be? Are they going to have a role to play elsewhere?
Yeah, I feel like even if Superman's not part of the crossover we know is coming, I guess in early December between the 4 shows, at some point he will be. It's too tempting now that they will have that to be like you said, even if it's not we're the Justice League, just to have him alongside Flash and Green Arrow at a certain point. I don't know. It just seems like that how could they resist?
And also I'm thinking about it. So I was doing some research for what the Flash could be doing in season 3, and I just read Flashpoint because it seems like that's what they're going to be doing. And there's even, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but they do some cool stuff with Superman there that's very different from the traditional Superman, that they could totally play around with that idea on The Flash now that we know Superman as a character, or Supergirl or something like that. So really it's just adding more and more infinite possibilities, and it's so cool to be able to see the small screen pull this together and add all these awesome components. I think there are a lot of like really exciting parallels to what the MCU is doing on the big screen, and to see that, you know, sure there are some hits and misses in the Arrowverse, Flareoverse, but this seems like a big hit to me, and I hope that they really nail it and find a great person to play him.
Yeah, and so speaking of that, of course, they said in the press release we are currently casting. Instantly, my Twitter, I'm sure everyone's Twitter comments, a lot of people were like, Tom Welling, amongst other sort of ideas.
Or Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh, which would be very odd in the multiverse sense. What do you think, you know, as far as casting, would it make sense for them to do something like that, or should it be sort of a clean break as far as someone who's never played Superman coming into this role?
You know, it's hard, because on the one hand, I'm like, how many TV Supermen can you have before it sort of like loses its impact? Tom Welling is the big one in recent memory.
Yeah.
He was so beloved. Smallville on the same show. You could play around with some multiverse ideas there, and maybe sort of like have a nod to how maybe that could be like another Earth or something. I don't know, because obviously there are different versions of that character. But on the other hand, I feel like they should just pick their own. They shouldn't have it be that, you know, Adam is also Superman, which is, you know, what one person suggested. Maybe you have one jokey line with that sort of meta that
if Adam ever meets Superman.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of like, I would have pictured the suit differently or something like that. But it is hard because you have these towering characters. The second you become Superman, like, you know, you are elevated in our nerd pop culture. So it's a big hurdle. I think ultimately, I don't think they should do Tom Welling or someone like that. They should find someone new, but it should be someone who, like, you see them and you're like, yes.
I agree. I think it should be someone new. I mean, I'm sure if they have their way, if Tom Welling is willing, they'd love to have him guest star at some point.
Or
you know,
like
just
cameo.
which is such a tradition in Superman, and like this show does it with Dean Cain and Helen Slater and Laura Vandervoort have all appeared. So I'm sure they'd love to have him as something. But I think they need their own Superman, especially if he, you know, might end up playing into a lot of different ideas and crossovers and things that they could possibly do.
Yeah.
Last thing before we wrap up, though, do you think this opens the door to even, you know, let's just jump to the big one. If they're doing this with Superman, do you think they'd ever allow Batman, or is that still the closed off one, or at least maybe some characters like Green Lantern we thought they might?
Batman, no. Green Lantern, Aquaman, yes.
Okay.
I think Aquaman first. They've had so many Easter eggs about him, and then Green Lantern as well.
They've had some pretty big ones for him too. On the Flash, though, they had the thing with Ferris Air and the fact that the pilot who disappeared.
So I think they're laying the groundwork for the two of those. I do get the sense that Batman is going to be the last one if they do it at all. Like, there's a competing Batman show. Arrow, in a lot of ways, like, obviously he's Arrow, but I think that he sort of fits some of those Batman archetypes in this world. And I feel like in tone, a lot of the shows end up skewing a little bit lighter, and I can't see Batman fitting as easily into this world as some of those other characters.
I agree. Batman is the one that I would think is their last holdout. We didn't mention Wonder Woman, though. I also could see them being hesitant on her. I just feel like they want to, like, even though there's been one other live action Wonder Woman, right now they still want to just firmly establish their movie Wonder Woman.
And you can see the ones that they've sort of, you know, winked at. Although when Barry went to Earth 2, didn't it say Diana on the phone? So they are doing some nods to that, but it didn't say Bruce.
It did say it. It said
It
Bruce
did say
Howell.
Bruce?
I think it said Bruce Howell and Diana.
Okay, well, I'm misremembering. I'm gonna have to go look that up. But so they've done some Easter eggs, but I do think that, you know, Green Lantern and Aquaman are the ones that they're hinting at a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. Batman and Wonder Woman, maybe not. Maybe they'll be in
pie in the sky,
pie in the
we
sky.
like to say.
Yeah. Anyway, we are definitely excited about Superman coming to Supergirl and all the things that it opens the door to. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And do you think it should be a brand new Superman, no one who's ever been associated with this character before? And for plenty more on Supergirl and all of these DC shows on CW, keep it here at IGN.